It was exactly what everyone had been suspecting, the kind of rumors whispered quietly in stadium hallways. Yet nobody ever dared to say it out loud. But now, it came straight from Cristiano Ronaldo himself, and you better brace yourselves, because he did not hold back. The man who millions of fans consider to be the greatest player to ever grace the game of soccer has finally broken his silence to drop an absolute nuclear bomb of an interview, one that is completely shaking the foundations of FIFA and, of course, the entire Argentinian national team. Yes, you heard that right. We are talking about a highly explosive, exclusive interview with the British media, where he totally blew the lid off the sewer, exposing the corruption and the shady strings Argentina has been pulling during recent World Cups. But that is not the wildest part. What will really blow your mind is that Cristiano basically confirmed what many feared and others secretly hoped for, the very real and almost imminent ban of Argentina from the upcoming 2030 World Cup. We are talking about a historic punishment that FIFA is allegedly preparing behind closed doors. And let me tell you right now, Cristiano did not hesitate for a second to say he is actually glad Argentina is finally facing the consequences of their actions. So do not go anywhere. Stay here because we are going to break down every word and every single poison dart he threw, because this is massive World Cup news and things are about to get incredibly intense. This entire scandal exploded following a raw interview he gave to the British outlet Brit Sport Network. Now, the conversation actually started out pretty relaxed, touching on his family and how much longer we might see him dominating on the pitch. But the whole mood completely shifted when the interviewer decided to go straight for the throat, asking him directly about the last World Cup and the Argentinian squad. That first question was blunt, with no sugarcoating. They asked Cristiano flat out if he believed the World Cup had lost all of its credibility, and if he honestly felt the whole tournament was rigged and set up for Argentina to win. Most players would have given a safe, politically correct answer just to keep everyone happy. But we are talking about Cristiano Ronaldo after all. The Portuguese star looked him dead in the eye and delivered a line already spreading globally. Look, you do not need Cristiano to tell you this. It is completely obvious that everyone saw how Argentina used their heavy influence. Boom. Just like that. And he did not stop there, explaining how they paved an easy path for them, not just recently but in the previous tournament too. And you really need to pay attention here, because it is the truth. Cristiano pointed out the blatant referee assistance happening everywhere, calling it incredibly bizarre, if not highly suspicious, which was a massive shot at the officials. That the least experienced referees, the ones with almost no reputation, were precisely the ones chosen to officiate Argentina's games. Do you honestly believe that was just a coincidence? Cristiano certainly does not, and neither do I. But what really gets to him, what truly makes his blood boil, is their attitude, not just the unfair play. The Portuguese forward was brutally honest, stating that consequences are coming for not playing fair, and especially because they do not know how to win or lose. And then he asked a deep question that really leaves everyone thinking. Why is there a need to humiliate people when you only won with help? What a massive statement. Just picture the interviewer's face right then. He was stunned. He simply could not believe an active soccer legend was exposing these dark secrets with such brutal honesty, so he seized the moment and asked the one question we were all waiting for: if this whole mess would permanently stain the legacy of Argentina, and along with it, Lionel Messi's name. He pressed him on whether this proved that, at the end of the day, there is no comparison between them. And this is exactly where Cristiano showed the incredible class he possesses, showing the maturity of a true leader instead of trashing his lifelong rival. He immediately shut the journalist down, saying he disliked the question because he hates being compared to anyone. After all, he sacrifices his entire life training to be the greatest, and in his own mind, he is always number one. When it came to Messi, he was a total gentleman, expressing hope that this situation would not ruin the Argentinian's career, since he considers him to be one of the best to ever play. But, and here is the painful part, he made it crystal clear that the Argentinian national team itself is definitely stained forever. And his reasoning is simple, yet absolutely brutal. Cristiano explained that a referee can make a mistake in your favor once. It is human, it happens, but when it is constant, when you know help is coming and you are totally fine with that, things change. Cristiano charged that the Argentinian players actively took advantage, claiming they would kick and hurl insults at opponents with complete and utter impunity because they knew full well that nobody was going to send them off, and absolutely nothing would happen to them. According to Cristiano Ronaldo, that is complete abuse, and he finished with an unforgettable quote, "Look, I hate being handed free things. But look, there is something far worse than getting everything handed to you on a silver platter. It is mocking people right to their faces while you take it. But brace yourselves, because this story gets way darker from here." The reporter refused to let it go. He kept pushing Cristiano, arguing that even if the superstar did not want to admit it, this entire drama is absolutely going to hit Messi where it hurts. Especially since the latest leaks suggest that FIFA cannot take the international heat anymore and is actually preparing to lay down some incredibly harsh punishments. We are talking about kicking Argentina completely out of the next World Cup tournament. The reporter asked Chris if he was aware of this, and the former Real Madrid icon gave a chilling final answer. He said it is devastating for the Argentine fans, yet he honestly believes banning them is the right move. They need to learn once and for all that every single action has a consequence, and that, in soccer, the absolute first rule is to respect your opponent and play without cheating. But Cristiano, as a sharp, forward-thinking guy, pointed his finger directly at the actual villain of this entire drama. If you thought he was only targeting the players on the pitch, you are dead wrong, because Cristiano went absolutely nuclear on Jan Infantino and the entire FIFA organization. Cristiano made it clear that the ones truly dragging the sport through the mud are Infantino, his whole organization, and the Argentine team. To Cristiano, FIFA is the real corrupt empire in this scenario. None of this madness would have ever happened if they had not actively permitted and orchestrated it from behind the scenes. Then he exposed the real motive, the one we all know deep down. Helping Argentina was highly profitable for FIFA. We are talking about pure, cold, hard cash. That is just plain wrong, Cristiano muttered. He made it absolutely clear he would never allow something so dirty to tarnish his own career. His anger runs deep because it kills him to see how this soccer mafia is ruining the game worldwide. He is genuinely worried about the kids, the next generation of players, who might not even want to watch or play this sport anymore because they will grow up believing it is all just a cheap circus, that every single match is predetermined, rigged, and fixed by suits in a corporate office. Insane, is not it? And this is exactly where things get deeply personal for all of us, because the reporter brought up the absolutely shameful reactions that the Argentine squad showed towards life fetuses. He asked Cristiano point-blank if the Argentines earned this global backlash through their own actions, or if there is actually a fierceness against them, like they always cry about. Cristiano kept it classy, clarifying that he does not hate the Argentine people. In fact, he pointed out that his own wife is Argentine, and he holds a lot of love for the country because he knows he has millions of fans there. But turning a blind eye to the ugly reality is not his style. Instead, Cristiano stated clearly that a certain group of fans and players simply lack the maturity and basic class required to handle the immense pressure of these high-stakes matches. Cristiano brought up how they insulted countries like England, mocked Mexico, and even went out of their way to target him with nasty insults. It completely slides off Cristiano. He says it only makes him stronger, but he really hit a nerve when talking about the Argentine players who make their living in the English Premier League, yet had the absolute nerve to insult the very country that feeds them. Being ungrateful is one of the worst traits a person can have, and Cristiano knows it. For him, this is no longer just about soccer. It is a deep-rooted issue of basic manners that starts at home, passed down from parents and the leaders who run things. He urged that soccer should evaluate players not just on how fast they run, but on whether they are good teammates who can respect the game without acting like total jerks. And let us be real. The gap in leadership here is absolutely massive, and we need to talk about this without sugarcoating anything. Cristiano has proven time and again that he possesses a character made of pure steel. Sure, he can be self-centered at times, but when it is time to lead and bring order to the locker room, the man stands tall and takes charge. We all remember that epic Euro Cup final back in 2016. Cristiano was completely broken and injured, barely even able to walk, but instead of sitting down to cry or disappearing into the locker room, he stood right on the touchline, limping heavily, shouting frantic instructions to guide his team, rallying them like a true military commander. He has even called out his own teammates when they got too aggressive or showed disrespect to the opponent. But on the flip side, what do we see? We have Messi, who definitely creates magical plays with the ball at his feet, but as a captain and a leader, he leaves so much to be desired. When he watches his teammates like Enzo Fernandez or Paredes kicking, shoving, or hurling grotesque insults at opponents, Messi just turns a blind eye. Even worse, he allows his personal bodyguards on the national squad to go after anyone who dares to commit a foul against him. He can easily claim he is not the one throwing the punches, but silence is agreement, and letting that violence happen right in front of you is actually far worse. And let us not forget that embarrassing match against Spain, when they were losing and he just wandered around the field with his head down, something that earned him the cold-chested label back in his own home country. To make matters even worse, we saw his incredibly cowardly move of falsely accusing Cucurella of covering his mouth just to provoke him, when in reality that entire injury was actually caused by a stray elbow from his own Argentine teammate who split Messi's mouth open. You have to be incredibly desperate and pretty cowardly to fabricate something like that just to get the referee to bend the rules for you. You are totally abusing the leverage you know you have out on the pitch. But listen closely, because we are not the only ones noticing this. And right here is the absolute undeniable proof that this is not about jealousy or some targeted hate campaign. Even the Argentinian journalists themselves cannot hide the truth anymore, and they are finally starting to criticize their own team. Martin Liberman, who we all know is extremely critical, openly went on record to say that the Argentinian jersey weighs heavy on referees, and somehow, by some wild coincidence, every single crucial decision always seems to swing in their favor. Or just listen to Flavio Azaro, who, despite defending their various championship titles, openly confesses that the antics of the players and a huge part of the fan base is deeply embarrassing. He even labeled them fragile glass fans, weeping over any slight criticism, yet they are always the first ones to spit poison and act aggressively toward everyone else. And what can you say about the legendary Ernesto Cherkis? He is a classic old-school journalist who publicly confessed that Argentina does not win on pure talent alone, but because of massive financial interests within FIFA. Because the global Messi brand sells incredibly well, carrying massive weight when referees are forced to make split-second decisions. Even Toti Posman said this unfair double standard has now become a total routine, a system where Argentina gets a free pass for fouls that would get other national teams instantly red-carded. Once Argentinian fans finally pull off the blindfold of blind obsession, they see the exact same reality that Cristiano Ronaldo warned us about. They have normalized toxic antics and biased refereeing, wrapping it all up in the excuse of being clever street-smart players or claiming that is just soccer. No, my friends, that is not soccer at all. That is straight-up cheating. And that is exactly why the final message Cristiano left in his interview is absolute gold. When the reporter asked for final words, Chris turned his attention to the Argentinian people and told them that when the world talks about them, it is not because they are the center of the universe or out of spite, but because the entire sport expects a massive change from them. He asked them to look in the mirror and really ask themselves how they would have reacted if all those referee favors, the constant mocking and the total lack of respect had been turned against them. Cristiano repeated his deep love for the people over there, but he was completely ruthless with his advice to the footballing world. He said they must learn to respect, to play with total humility, and to grind incredibly hard so that nothing is ever handed to them. Because whatever is handed to you easily is gone quickly. When you make history, it is because you earned it with blood, sweat, and tears, not because some referee or corrupt official wrote it down on a piece of paper. And the simple truth is that FIFA can no longer hide this incredibly shameless behavior. That is why several major international outlets are now reporting that a formal disciplinary case has been opened to completely ban Argentina from the upcoming World Cup. Gianni Infantino is cornered, and the soccer world is demanding real justice. They want Infantino thrown out and this game completely cleaned up so we do not end up with an Argentina 2.0 down the road. This message is not about spreading blind hatred. It is about exposing a situation that is completely unlivable. If you cannot behave like a true sportsman, and if you believe that winning justifies dragging everyone else down, then honestly, you probably should not even watch the game. This sport is meant to unite us, to bring raw emotion, and to keep competition clean. But anyway, before we actually wrap things up and let this anger keep boiling hot underneath our skin, let us answer the questions from our awesome fans right here. Today we are answering Marjeku, who has been super active commenting on these videos. She is asking two highly fascinating questions. First, do you actually think Argentina got massive favors during this World Cup? My friend Mar, the absolute answer is a flat-out yes. And it is not just this tournament as we discussed, it is historical, but this last one was completely shameless. There were incredibly obvious fouls where officials simply decided to look the other way, while every single questionable call went directly to Argentina. And that second question of yours is absolute gold. You ask if Cristiano had a much harder path because they did not want him winning a World Cup? I totally agree with you. Cristiano has always had to walk a road filled with obstacles, receiving zero handouts. And it really seems like the corporate suits never wanted the image of CR7 lifting that golden trophy. Like you said, it would have been 1,000 times better to watch him in a final, playing entirely fair. Thanks so much for these questions, Mar. And to everyone watching out there on the other side of the screen, what is your honest take on this massive, monumental scandal? Do you actually believe FIFA will have the courage to completely ban Argentina from the 2030 World Cup? Or do you think the money will eventually do all the talking, and everything will go unpunished like it always does? Drop all your anger and opinions down in the comment section below, because I will be reading every single one and actively debating with you. And hey, do not forget to completely smash that big like button. If you like this deep dive, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. That way, you never miss the real, unfiltered truth of world soccer. This was the real story. See you on the next one.